pretty self-explanatory, but nonetheless a key idea. Okay, so we're going to do one practice question, and then this is the practice question, and then you are going to pause the video and try the next one on your own. As you get that right, you can do the assignment, and you will be good for the day. All right. Oh, deep breath. We're doing it. We're doing this online learning. Here we go. Okay. So, directions. For each function, decide what units are the input and output. Also, represent the function in a table, graph, ordered pairs, and mapping diagram. So let's look at this question. In the world's strongest man competition, athletes try to see who can lift a table with a certain number of rocks on it. The total weight an athlete lifts can be found using the function y equals 50x plus 100, where y represents the total weight and x the number of rocks on the table. So that's definitely important. Y, this number, is representing something. It's the total weight. And x is the number of rocks on the table, which is obviously going to affect the weight. So how much weight would a table with 4 rocks on it weigh? Think about that. Pause the video, think about that. And what you should be doing is just like what the bell ringer was. So you can plug in 4 for x, and you should get 300 pounds. Number 2, same idea, 50 times 2. So this would be 200 pounds. Day number 3, 5 rocks equals 350 pounds. So, there we have it. Those are those questions, pretty self-explanatory. Now here's the new question. What units were the input values? The input is what the numbers we were putting in to the equation. So we were plugging in 4, 2, and 5. And what were those numbers representing? Can't call on you because none of you are raising your hand. I can't see that. But I'm hoping you guys would say number of rocks. What information did the output values tell you? So this is the information we got out of the function. These numbers. Was that pounds? Was that degrees? Was that speed? No, that was money. Or excuse me, pounds. Pounds lifted. All right. Okay, so if you look right here, next question, we're going to represent this information. So we can represent it in a table. X, Y, we know that 4 rocks is 300 pounds with the table included. 2 rocks is 200. And 5 is 350. We're also going to represent this with a graph. So let's skip over to the graph. This is, isn't the easiest to do without graph paper, but online learning isn't the easiest either. So we're just going to try our best. So X is going to measure rocks, and the Y is going to measure pounds. And if you look at your table, what should we go up by? Well, these numbers over here, they're pretty small. We go up by 1s, and these numbers are pretty big. Maybe we'll go up by like 50s. So we can do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then pounds, we can do 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350. So go ahead and plot those things down. 5 and 350 is right there. About 2 and 200 is right there. And 4 and 300 is about right there. Getting that information from the table. So then you can go ahead and plot a line. There we go. This graph is representing the weight as you increase the rocks. Alright, so ordered pairs, this one's pretty easy. We'll do that one next. That is going to be just the points that we got. So we got 4, 300, our x and our y. We got, and this is from the table, I'm getting this information from the table. We got 2, 200, and we got 5, 350. There's that, and then a mapping diagram is something new, another way to represent something. And how you do that is you draw two like ovals here. You say this is your input, this is your output. Remember, input is your x number, so our x numbers are going to go in our input. Doesn't matter the order, 4, 2, 5. Their output is our y numbers, so 300, 200, 350. And we're going to draw arrows saying, hey, 4 rocks is 300 pounds, 2 rocks is 200 pounds, and 5 rocks is 350 pounds. All right, so what information do all the representations above show? It all shows, well, what are we measuring? We're measuring the number of rocks and the pounds lifted. So it shows the weight depending on the number of rocks. You know, the more rocks on the table, the heavier it gets. So this part's in red right here, so you're writing that down as well. The information was found by plugging input values into the equation. So we plugged in 2, 4, and 5 up here in A, B, C, and D, and that helped us find all the ways we could represent this information by plugging it into our equation, y equals 50x plus 100. Okay? So what I'm going to have you do now is, you're doing great. You're doing great. I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try this one on your own. If you can get all these answers here, then you guys can start the assignment, and you're good for day 1 and day 2. This is a multi-day assignment because I want to give you guys a chance to get used to online learning and do this math, which was a little bit longer today. So, yep, pause the video, see if you can get these answers. Okay, so if we go through these answers, how many, we're talking about a hummingbird adding twigs to their nest. So after 3 days, you should get 50. After 5 days, you should get 70 twigs. After 2 days, you should get 40 twigs. How many twigs did the hummingbird originally find the nest with? This is a challenge one. Well, originally find the nest, that'd be day 0, or your initial value. You could just plug in 0 for x, and the nest started out with 20 twigs. All right, what units were the input values? So what were you plugging into the function? You were plugging in 3, 5, and 2. And what do those numbers represent? They represented days. And what you got out were 50, 70, and 40. What were those values? That was twigs in the nest. How many twigs are there? So magenta for output, twigs in the nest. Okay. So what I want you guys to do now is, so you should have represented this information in a table, mapping diagram, graph, and order pair. So table, x, y, we got 350, 570, 240. Mapping diagram should look something like this. You got input values, which are your x. Output values, you should get 352, 50, 70, 40. Just another way you might see it. Your graph. Days, and go up by ones. Twig numbers, you can go up by tens. And you can plot this information. So 350, 570, 240. Should get something like that. Your ordered pairs, another way of representing this, you got 350, 570, 240. And finally, what information do all the representations above show? The number of twigs in a nest after a certain number of days. Alright, so that completes day one of your online learning. And again, this is day one and day two to give you guys a chance to get all this down and get used to online learning. So if you have any questions, feel free to put a question on Google Classroom. Besides that, you should be working on the assignment, which is just like one of these questions, and then your fulfillment for March 16th and tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day, will be fulfilled. All right, great job, you guys. Again, reach out if you have any questions and enjoy the rest of your day. It looks like it's going to be nice out. Thank you.